Okay, please give it up for Lilith!
Thank you. Not many know that the countdown for the Ukraine war started on 27th of September 2020, when Russia gave green light for the war against Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh, and its partial takeover by Azerbaijan. Three regional dictators, Putin, Erdogan, and Aliyev, came to an agreement about it. Artsakh was the price Putin willingly paid in expense of the Armenian people for Erdogan's and Aliyev's supports to bypass the expected Western sanctions in reaction to the planned Ukraine invasion. And all sides delivered. In November 2020, Russia brokered a ceasefire where it also imposed its interest on Armenia, replacing the Armenian Defense Forces by Russian peacekeepers in pretense of protecting the remaining 120,000 Armenian population of Artsakh, thus for the first time securing Russian military presence in Nagorno-Karabakh since the collapse of Soviet Union. The ceasefire also cemented the occupation and total ethnic cleansings of about 2/3 of the Republic of Artsakh territory, followed by cultural genocides of Armenian heritage. There was little to no condemnation on Azerbaijan for unleashing a conquest war against its much smaller neighbor, neither for numerous war crimes that Azerbaijani armed forces committed, nor for the refusal to free hundreds of prisoners of war after the ceasefire in violation of the Geneva Conventions. There were no sanctions against Azerbaijan. Moreover, in 2022, EU announced it as a reliable partner and increased oil and gas imports from Azerbaijan. The 2020 war in Artsakh showed that the dictators can use blunt force to conquer territories, commit ethnic cleansing and war crimes, disrespect international and humanitarian law without any consequences. The risks of unleashing the war of aggression were thus minimized. 2 days before Russia launched a massive invasion on Ukraine 2 days ago today, Putin signed a wide-ranging agreement with his Azerbaijani counterpart Aliyev, deepening economic, diplomatic, and military cooperation between the two countries, bringing it to the level of alliance. Since November 2020, as Artsakh was turned into a Gaza Strip. It was totally occupied and surrounded by hostile Azerbaijan and Russian peacekeepers, who together were controlling who and what can enter and exit the region. But the indigenous people of Artsakh didn't leave their homeland and continued living and creating in their home under the occupation. And that wasn't enough. On December 12, 2022, Azerbaijanis linked to the Aliyev regime blockaded the Lachin corridor, the internationally recognized road connecting Artsakh to Armenia and the external world. According to the 2020 tripartite ceasefire agreement between Armenia, Russia, and Azerbaijan, the Russian peacekeepers were supposed to control the Lachin corridor and provide its security and uninterrupted functioning. But the Russian peacekeepers did nothing for months to remove the Azerbaijani blockade of Artsakh. The flow of goods and people were stopped on both directions. Sorry, I have to find my place. Under total inaction of the Russian peacekeepers. In the meantime, the second year of Ukraine war was starting and Russia's dependence on Turkey and Azerbaijan has deepened even more. Thus, they demanded more concessions from Russia and in Artsakh in Armenia, and Russia could not refuse. So Azerbaijan installed their military checkpoint, replacing the Russian checkpoint on Lachin corridor, started blocking even the little humanitarian aid that the International Red Cross was delivering to the region. The Azerbaijani military kidnapped many Armenian civilians trying to pass through their checkpoints and holds them in Baku prisons under false accusation till date. This sounds familiar, doesn't it? Yes, Azerbaijan used the entire arsenal against Armenians that Israel has been using against the Palestinians for decades. On 22nd of February 2023, the International Court of Justice issued mandatory provisional measures ordering Azerbaijan to end its blockade of Nagorno-Karabakh, as well as to restore gas and electricity inflow from Armenia. Azerbaijan ignored the UN court order and continued to blockade Artsakh, and no country pressured it to comply with ICJ order, which we are witnessing again now in the case of Israel. Azerbaijan genocidal hunger blockade of Artsakh lasted 9.5 months, causing malnutrition, deaths, and miscarriages. On 19th of September 2023, Azerbaijan launched an expansive military attack on the remaining parts of occupied Artsakh throughout the whole perimeter and shelling all towns and villages. Azerbaijan had informed the Russian peacekeepers about the military operation, and they stepped down from their positions to open the way for Azerbaijani military to attack the mostly unprotected population with Russian green light again. The small self-defense forces of Artsakh, with limited weapons, no help coming from outside, and under Russian pressure, could resist for only 2 days and had to surrender. About 800 Artsakhis were killed in the attacks and its aftermath. Thousands were wounded and couldn't get treatment under continued blockade, lack of fuel, medical supplies, and medical personnel. On the 24th of September 2023, Azerbaijan opened the Lachin corridor for the residents of Nagorno-Karabakh to exit Artsakh one way, despite its ongoing blockade. Till 2nd of October 2023, nearly the whole population of 100,000 Armenians had left Artsakh. And they were forced out of their homeland of millennia, leaving behind all their property, belongings, pets, and livestock, most of which died without any care and the winter coming. Till now, the refugees in Armenia struggle to find housing, afford health rates in Armenia, establish new households from scratch with little help from outside. They are pretty much neglected by the international aid organizations and the international community, and it has been a huge burden on Armenia to provide relief for them. Till now, Azerbaijan has faced no consequences or sanctions for its genocidal wars against Artsakh and Armenia and ethnic cleansing of the entire indigenous population of the Nagorno-Karabakh. It's not surprising that only days after Artsakh's final takeover by Azerbaijan through war and ethnic cleansing, and no consequences for Azerbaijan, that's exactly what Israel started doing in Gaza. The times for raging wars of aggression, committing genocides, and ethnic cleansings without any consequences for the perpetrators should end now. We cannot afford to continue this to happen on 21st century and take no action. We should hold perpetrators accountable to stop the ongoing and to prevent future wars of aggressions and genocides. 3 days ago, an Azerbaijani was held in Moscow airport according to an Interpol request by Armenia. In 2020, he had tortured, beheaded alive an elderly civilian captive in Artsakh, recorded it, posted it in social media, and to terrorize the Armenian public, and could be identified from the video. Presumably after a call from Aliyev, the war criminal was let go in Moscow and was greeted in Baku as a national hero. Videos of it again are flying in social media since yesterday. This is what we Armenians have to deal with. What happened in Artsakh over the past 3 years was continuation of the Armenian genocide for us, as what's happening now in Gaza is the continuation of Nakba for Palestinians. We at Teofano Club Germany and the Right to Resist, the link of Ukraine Solidarity Berlin, stand united with the people of Armenia, Artsakh, Ukraine, and Palestine for their just resistance and fight against their aggressors and occupiers. Let's unite the struggles of the small nations. Together we are big. Thank you.